Today I'd like to tell you a little bit about ecology, or the study of how organisms interact with their environments. There are different levels at which this can be studied. First are organisms, single plants or animals, then comes population, or several organisms of the same species living in the same area. All of the organisms of any species in the same area is called a community, and an ecosystem is all the biotic, or living, and abiotic, or non-living factors in an environment. The next level is a landscape, or group of ecosystems near each other, and finally the biosphere, or the entire planet as a whole, from the bottom of the oceans to the edges of the atmosphere. Just to clarify, biotic factors in an environment are all the organisms that live there, every single living thing. Abiotic factors are everything else, from the availability of water, nutrients, and oxygen, to the temperature and wind and sunlight. But where do those come from? So the Earth, as you probably already know, is both round and tilted relative to the Sun. This means that the equator gets more sunlight than higher latitudes, and also that certain hemispheres are a little bit closer to the Sun at certain times of the year, causing seasons. Because the surface of the planet heats so unevenly, warm air rises at the tropics, cools, and lets go of most of its water, creating an area of high rainfall and low winds known as the doldrums. The dry air then sinks and spreads out over the temperate zones, picking up moisture and creating the trade winds, until it warms back up and rises in the tropics again. Landforms, like mountains, also affect this, as the elevation helps to decrease air temperature. Ocean currents are influenced in much the same way by planetary rotation, unequal heating of surface waters, and the locations and shapes of the continents. Speaking of oceans, they have as many distinct environments as we do on land. The pelagic realm is all open water, and the benthic realm is the seafloor. Within these are the photic zone, which has enough light for photosynthesis, and the aphotic zone, which does not. Where the ocean meets the land is called the intertidal zone, beaten by waves at high tide and dried out by the sun and wind at low tide. Similarly, where rivers meet the ocean is called an estuary, and wetlands are another area of transition between aquatic and terrestrial biomes. Terrestrial biomes are mainly defined by their vegetation, temperature, and precipitation, and come in 9 main categories. First are the tropical forests. These occur around the equator and are characteristically warm and wet, with a huge variety of species. Savannas are also warm, but get less rainfall and have more dramatic seasons. They're mostly populated by grasses, scattered trees, insects, and large grazing mammals. Deserts are the driest biomes, with low and unpredictable rainfall. They don't have to be hot and sandy either. The tundra and polar ice regions can also be classified as deserts, but more on that later. The chaparral biome is mainly shrubland, with cool, rainy winters and hot, dry summers. The plants there are also accustomed to periodic fires to clear out dead vegetation. Temperate grasslands have few trees, except along rivers and streams, cold winters, and periodic droughts. Temperate broadleaf forests grow in areas with enough moisture to support large trees. They have a wide range of temperatures and high precipitation. Coniferous forests, or taiga, have long, cold winters and short, wet summers. They are populated mostly by conifers, as the name suggests. The tundra is in the Arctic between the taiga and the polar ice, with little precipitation, like a desert, and is characterized by permafrost, or permanently frozen subsoil. Finally, polar ice is at the Arctic and Antarctica, with very little precipitation and is extremely cold year-round. So to recap, biotic factors are all the living organisms in an environment, and all the non-living factors are abiotic. The Earth's prevailing winds and ocean currents are affected by its position relative to the Sun, and our planet is teeming with life in a wide variety of ecosystems and biomes, on land, in the oceans, and everywhere in between.